I works in progress. It's your boy Mike. Lewis is here, as you can see. And this show is gonna be a little bit different this week. Thanksgiving is next week, so we definitely want to get out a show this week because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if we're gonna have one for next week, but I'm gonna cut it into different segments. So it's gonna start off, with Lewis. Lewis, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I'm good, and just running around and everything. I apologize for the show not happening last week. Everybody was busy, like literally everybody was busy.
Yeah.
So it was, it's kind of rough. We did schedule a day, but stuff happens, and it's life.
It's rough when you are working retail and then holiday season's just right here.
Exactly.
It doesn't sneak up on you, but then you realize, oh shit, it's here.
Yeah. And you know what? I gotta give you credit for your mic, man. It sounds really good over here. So guys, you gotta give Lewis a hand here. He's using a new mic. He's stepping up his game here. He's professional. I gotta get myself a mic, especially if we're gonna be doing the Skype. That's one thing that is easier to do. Recording this show when we're not all together is Skype. So
yeah. From what I've been hearing, it's gonna be a very cold winter, so we're gonna have hopefully not, or I kind of do like the snow.
Yeah.
We have blizzards. Last year, how many blizzards did we have? Like two?
Two major
3?
ones, yeah. Two.
Yeah.
Two. It wasn't that much.
So imagine trying to meet up with 3 people who live all around Brooklyn.
Yeah.
To record a podcast. Yeah.
So this is probably the best option. So on this part of the show, we'll be discussing one of my favorite topics in the world, music. I could talk about music all day long, So first off, did you hear the new Eminem song featuring Beyonce?
Yes.
All right. What did you think about it?
I first listened to it and I shrugged it off. I didn't even finish the whole song.
Right.
It wasn't until I got some downtime at work where I usually just play some YouTube videos while I'm working. Mm-hmm. And I was hearing the interview with Rick Rubin, I believe is his name. Yep. Yeah. And, he was talking about the concept of the chorus, which is I walk on water, but I'm no Jesus. I walk on water, but only when it freezes. And when I was hearing the song, I just glanced over it, paid no mind, watched the interview. I'm like, my mind was blown. I'm like, hold up, I gotta go back and listen to this. And I loved it after.
So here's the thing. I gave it 3 listens, right, when I first heard it.
Okay.
And I wanna say this before I say what I think about the song. Eminem raps better than I want to say 95% of the people that's out today. Yeah. Eminem is a rapper through and through, and he's not. He's a
lyricist.
He's a lyricist. Right.
Yes.
Right. And he's not trying to
sugarcoat anything.
Sugarcoat or change or what's the word I'm looking for here? He's not trying to conform to today's music, and I give him credit for that. And Beyonce is one of the best artists of our generation. I know I said that about Chris, who I also want to get into, in a little while. But Beyonce is Beyonce. She's queen, in a lot of people's eyes. And I'd be hard pressed to disagree with them. But here comes the but. I didn't need this song, to tell you the truth. I listened to it, and you know what? If it wasn't being portrayed as a single, I don't think I would have a problem with it. I think that I don't think it's a single. I don't think it's single. Okay, I don't want to hear a 5-minute song, and I'm gonna be blunt here. I don't want to hear a 5-minute song with Eminem and Beyonce with just a piano playing, throughout the whole song. It's not what I wanted to hear. Not from those two artists of that caliber. You hear Beyonce, you hear Eminem. It's I was expecting something whoa, this is gonna blow away everything, and I was very, it wasn't whack. It was not whack. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't whack.
Yeah.
It wasn't even bad. It was good.
It wasn't your cup of tea.
Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea, and it's not even because I'm an Eminem fan and I'm a Beyonce fan. But it's not what I wanted to hear from both of those two together.
Got you. Which is funny. You bring up two very important things. First part, when you say it wasn't up to your expectation. It's funny because his first line is, "Why is expectation so high? Is it the bar I set?" In this song, he's talking about how, there's people want him to sound a certain way. Whether it's more lyricist, whether it's more pop, whether it's more this and that. But then you have him. He's a workaholic. He's like Tupac, where he has a ton of songs, a ton of lyrics. He just doesn't release because he doesn't think it's good enough.
Yeah.
Back in the day, when you used to rap, were there times where you would just write something, you would think it's good at the time, a day later you're like, no, this is garbage. I have to, I'm gonna scrap this.
Yeah.
As a poet, the same way. It wasn't until I actually had my Instagram account where I actually kept my stuff. I would write, I would think it's good. A day or two later, I'm like, this is garbage, and I would literally just throw it out.
Yeah. I mean, I used to think I could rap back in high school, so I have a lot of those raps that I kind of just threw away after a while. But
yeah.
I get what you're saying, and I'm glad you mentioned the expectation being so high for Eminem. It's because it's Eminem. I feel like Eminem. It's not like I wasn't expecting this from Eminem. Like that's the thing. It's not like I wasn't expecting lyrics or whatever. But even his freestyle at the I think it was the Hip Hop Awards, the BET Hip Hop Awards that he did. That was anti-Trump and everything like that. It was good.
Yeah.
It was even great, but I don't think it was the best freestyle he's ever spit in his life. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he's falling off because he's not. He's not falling off. Eminem can't fall off. But I don't know just off this single, or that's what they're calling it, but I don't think it is single worthy. I know he's doing Saturday Night Live. I think this week coming up. I think he's doing it, and. I don't know. I was just very underwhelmed. And then you go, like I was looking up songs by hip hop artists, and R&B artists, that you would think that the collaboration is good on paper. Like for example, everybody wants to hear J. Cole and Kendrick album, right?
Okay.
Do we really want to hear it though? Let's be honest. Like, do we really want to hear that? Do you want to hear that?
I do, but there's a certain aspect of Kendrick and a certain aspect of J. Cole I want to hear. Kendrick, like for instance, when you heard Eminem and Kendrick for the first time on his Marshall Mathers LP2.
Yeah.
I always wanted to see them collab, but that song wasn't a complete disappointment, but it wasn't up to my expectations.
Gotcha. Yeah.
From Kendrick and from Eminem, I want that raw emotion where you're almost screaming at the mic.
Yeah.
That's what I like about them too. And even J. Cole.
Yeah, J. Cole, yeah. I know they've been teasing it for years. And it's just like, I feel like after a certain point, it's like, do I really want to hear this? And I kind of agree with you on it's certain aspects of Kendrick and certain aspects of Cole that I want to hear them together. And there's certain things that, okay, I want Kendrick to just do this, and I want Cole to just do this, and these are artists that, in theory, they're going to sound good together. But sometimes on record, it just doesn't translate. I said, I was looking up some of the other stuff, like Drake and Jay-Z from, I believe it was Jay-Z's album. It's a song called Off That. And this was a song, this was really early in Drake's career. And Drake had a lot of high expectations back then, and he still does today. And he gets on a song with Jay-Z, and not only was Jay-Z's verse, lackluster, Drake didn't really do anything on the hook, and it just didn't work out. That's a classic example of two mainstream artists that you think is going to work in theory, but
Yeah.
They just don't. Why do you think that is? Do you think that when you have two artists or three or four sometimes, like on that Swagger Like Us song,
Yeah.
I think it was T.I., Jay Z, Wayne, and Kanye, I believe.
Yeah.
And a lot of people said that that song didn't work for them. Do you think that when artists get on these songs and they have like, do you think people just have too high of expectations for these artists, and that's why the songs just don't, they don't pop like they should? Do you think that's what it is?
Yes and no, because you have examples like what's that song called with um Forever,
Yeah,
where you have Drake,
yeah,
where you have Lil Wayne,
mm-hmm.
Kanye, Eminem. That song is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
You know, you have all these four great artists, working together to make one good song, one great song at that. But then you have the what do I want to say? I guess when they make the music, because
mm-hmm.
you can make it several different ways. Where, what Tech Nine, what he does is he writes a verse.
Mm-hmm.
He goes first, asks the artist, "Hey, you want to collab? I have these samples.
Yeah,
These instrumentals I want to do. Sends it. They agree. Tech does his verse first, and then sends it to the artist. So they get an idea of what he wants and all that,
yeah,
and then they go back and forth. And then you have artists who kind of work together in the studio to
mm-hmm.
make a song, like you had Jay-Z and Kanye.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different aspects, but I do think people expect too much of artists, um, especially when they're this popular.
Yeah. Um, you know what? I agree with you. Um, I think it's more so also chemistry between artists. I feel like certain artists, yeah, you take like some of the best artists, put Jay Z with Kendrick or whatever. Bitch No Kid My Vibe, the remix, it was hot, right? But
Yeah.
it could have went another way. It might have been underwhelming, and I think it all goes down to chemistry. Does one artist, does their style match with another artist? Sometimes it's good to have that contrast, right?
Yeah.
But other times it just doesn't work, But then you look at people like, you go back like 13, 14 years ago, like Nelly did a song with Tim McGraw. It was called Over and Over. It was like a country song.
Yeah.
Nelly's a rapper, right?
Yeah.
This dude's a country star, but it worked. It went to like number one. I think that was Nelly's first like. I could be wrong about this. I should have probably fact checked, but I think it was one of Nelly's first like number one Billboard chart songs, and then you look at other artists that have worked with other people that you wouldn't expect them to be working with. It's just it's a mixture of things. I think the chemistry has to be there, and I feel like those artists have to work off each other well. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know you wanted to get into the iPhone X talk, so
Yeah.
cause,
Before we go there,
oh yeah,
your tweet earlier, I believe it was earlier today, about Chris Brown.
Oh yes, yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
How was that?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Chris Brown dropped an album that has 1,500 songs on it, and okay, it's not 1,500, but it's legit 45 songs. The album is 2 hours and 45 minutes long. Okay, I started listening to this Halloween. I think we talked about this on Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
So it took me almost 3 weeks. Yeah, just about 3 weeks to listen to Chris Brown's album. I like it. Okay. Even though I don't support Chris Brown like as a person. I said this before, but as an artist, there is no doubting his love for music. I feel like it starts off a little rough, okay, but that is understandable with a 45 track album, but it does start to get better, and I feel like I feel like Chris Brown really, he delivered. I don't think there's any real like standout songs on there besides like the singles that we've heard already on the radio. But there's definitely songs that I can play over and over again and enjoy it. So shout out to Chris Brown. He did his thing on his own.
So let me ask you something. So when you're talking about an artist, you don't necessarily, if you like their work, you like their work, right? Mm-hmm. Even if they did some shady stuff.
Yeah.
Personal life. Would you say the same thing about actors? You're hearing all these allegations of sexual assault. You're hearing all these allegations of a lot of stuff that goes down in Hollywood, and it's just now coming out to the open. Some 13 some odd years in some cases.
That's a good question. It's a really good question. Yes and no. So if I know the extent of their whatever the allegations are, and if it's really something that is just like, okay, since we were talking about Chris Brown, let's talk about Chris for a second, and then I'll compare it to the actors, right? So Chris, without getting into the whole big thing, like Chris, he assaulted Rihanna, right? That was the big thing, and apparently he's a stalker, right? Like let's put that out there. Now, Rihanna's forgiven him. Okay, Rihanna's forgiven him, and she's admitted that she was the instigator in that whole situation. I'm not giving him a pass before everybody comes after me. I'm not saying that it was right, but Rihanna's moved on. Rihanna's forgiven him, right?
Yeah.
And he has shown that he does still have a temper. I don't know if he fully changed. But he has shown redeeming qualities. I guess that's the best way
restraint.
Yeah. Yes.
Restraint.
So you know what? I can give Chris Brown the benefit of the doubt that I can listen to his music and not think about his assault that happened 10 or 12 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago. But as far as actors go, again, it's the same thing. It depends on the extent of it. So like if I found out an actor was like raping little girls, no, I'm not going to support this actor. A domestic issue, depending on the severity of it. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. Depending on the severity of it, I may or may not support that actor. It all depends. It all depends on what the actual allegations are and what has been proven at this point.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm a little torn because I'm not saying what they do is right, but it's stuff they did already. Some of them did it, maybe realized it was wrong, moved on with their life, and then they have this coming back to haunt them.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on what they did.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I know it shouldn't. Some of these situations it shouldn't really depend, but let's be honest. Like, this is works in progress. We're gonna shoot it straight here. Like, it really depends on how serious it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good question. That's a good thought process. But yeah, now you really got me thinking about it. Like, especially with all the stuff with R. Kelly and and a lot of the stuff that came out about Kevin Spacey and Harvey Weinstein and just it's so much, man. It's just so much.
Yeah. Some of the things that actually shocked me. What happened to Terry Crews?
Right. Yeah. You want to talk about it a little bit? What happened with Terry Crews?
Sure. I keep forgetting his name. I know he's very famous. I just don't really pay attention to much of the news.
Yeah.
Terry Crews got groped or sexually molested by another man.
Oh yeah. Was it man, the guy that was in Baywatch, right? Was it that one?
No, he was a big Hollywood executive.
Oh, okay. All right.
Harvey something.
Weinstein.
Yeah, I believe that's him.
Yeah. Harvey Weinstein. Yep.
100%. Yeah, but yeah, he was groped by an older white guy.
Yeah.
And in his tweet he said, he could have physically harmed him,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't because there'll be repercussions, and then how the media would spin it. So
Mm-hmm.
he just had to report it, and it comes down to our older topics of equality.
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know
Yep. Yep.
you have guys being sexually molested, groped, and it shouldn't be shameful for them to go to the police, to actually report this.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know?
And not be laughed at when when they're trying to express something serious.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But I know you want to talk about the iPhone. So let's hear about it.
Yes.
Should I get it? Like, cause I'm still with my 7 here, so like I don't know. I'm hearing different things, like you know.
Yeah. So apparently the users have reported seeing a green line go down their right side of the phone. And this green line stays even when the phone is off.
Hmm.
So they've started calling it the green light of death. Honestly, it's probably just some pixels that died around the side, but it's happening to $1,000 phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've seen this on the Galaxy S8 too. So it's not only an iPhone thing, but just the thing you're spending $1,000 in equipment, and then the screen, which is that that's the majority of the phone and the most important part of the phone. You have a whole green line which you could do nothing about.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. Um, See, that's why I'm not in any rush to get a new phone. Like, didn't you say even on this show that you never get like the first model of a phone, or the newest model of the
I don't
phone?
get the first couple of batches of a new product.
Right, right.
Fair. I think I've only did that once with the iPod Touch. Um, but other than that, I've never really gotten the phone when it came out, or a video game system when it came out, because I know that there's gonna be bugs in they've been tested, but not to the scale of the consumer.
Right.
And especially the batches, you know, you're not gonna get 100% product always. These are being manufactured in large companies, and even a small error, you could see it down the line, and then when you get it, you might have a dead computer.
Yeah.
I've seen computers being bought and turned on and won't turn on.
I'd be so
Yeah,
pissed.
so
I'd be I'd be irate, but I mean, with technology in general, you have to be, you got to have that mindset that like, hey, this was something that was man-made, right?
yeah,
That is always gonna have some type of glitch. Like, I don't care what you get, there's always something that's glitchy about technology. Like, no matter what it is. So you
yeah,
got to keep that in mind when you're spending thousands of dollars on new phones and all of that stuff. I mean, hey, shout out to everybody that got the iPhone X, because there's a lot of them. I mean, I work with half of them, but it's like
so
I'm
how their
good.
experience? They're enjoying the
They
iPhone.
love it. Like, wait, are they experiencing what?
Do they love the phone? How are they reacting to it?
Yeah, they enjoy it. They enjoy it immensely. So I guess they haven't gotten the green line yet, but I guess they will be. So has it been happening to all of the new phones, or just like some of them that's been reported?
Just some of them. It's a small percentage, but since a lot of people bought phones, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a ton out there, a small percentage equates to about 100 something odd out phones.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hear it. Um, it's crazy because technology moves at such a fast pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like the iPhone 6s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just putting it out there. This phone came out 2 years ago,
Right.
September 2015, and we are already what 2, 3 generations down the line from that.
Yeah.
iPhone 7, iPhone 8, and the X. This phone is not even 2 years old.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. I know. Yeah.
Down the line, what 2020, you could buy the iPhone X at like what $500.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just crazy.
So it's not even worth it to get the phone right now, is what you're saying.
No, I mean even now I'm using Galaxy Note 5. The Note 8 came out, all these phones came out. I'm just fine. It works fine. It does what I needed to do, and I love the phone.
What do you think about the phone companies like purposely sabotaging like phones or allegedly sabotaging phones when a new phone comes out so that forces you to get a new phone? Is there any truth or validity to that myth?
I haven't researched that, so but from what I think, how sometimes you notice things,
Mm-hmm.
you notice a small thing, but then you keep noticing it more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
The Mandela effect, I think it's called. I think that's just that on the phone. Maybe it was lagging before the new phone was announced, and then you really didn't pay attention to the lag until the new phone comes out, and you're like, oh yeah, my Galaxy Note 5 was working fine. The Note 8 is out. I'm in no rush to buy one. The phone is working fine.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to add? About any phones, any music, anything?
Yeah, one quick thing. This is just out of the blue because right before we started recording, I was searching up Eminem's new song.
Oh.
So on YouTube on the side it says it has recommended videos and all that, and then one of them said Tyler the Creator thinks Eminem's new song sucks.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm listening to it, and then the first half of the video is just the narrator talking about how Tyler the Creator came out the closet.
Oh man.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah. There was something about that a few months ago about him and Frank Ocean.
Yeah.
And apparently they had a relationship, and Frank's last album was apparently about Tyler the Creator. It was a whole bunch of things, man. It's crazy, but hey,
yeah.
If they were in a relationship, if they are, then hey, more power to them. Hopefully, everything works out for the best with them.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that you said that though, and apparently he thinks that the song sucks. So, just a clip. I don't think the song sucks. I don't think it sucks. Okay.
You know what I think? I think it's the song right before campaign speech.
Okay.
And yeah, even campaign speech wasn't all too bad. The puns on there were just ridiculous. If you have time, listen to it, but have Genius open. Download the app Genius.
Yeah.
Because it breaks down the lyrics.
Yeah.
Not sponsored. It breaks down the lyrics. So just go through the puns. It's ridiculous the amount of puns he made in that one song.
I will. I'll actually do it as soon as we are done recording. I'll check it out. So,
cool.
And on that note, well, I can't say I'll join you next week because we're probably gonna have more to this show. But Lewis, thank you for your time, sir.
No problem.
I know we're all busy, so
yeah.
And if we don't get to talk next week, oh God, you gonna say something?
Yeah. So I just learned I might be going to Mexico for January.
Oh.
So we might be doing this internationally.
Yeah.
If I could get things, and then hopefully if the channel is set up, I should have some videos up for that too.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Bring the exclusives. International flavor. All right. And on that, we're gonna end this segment.
Cool.
We were dumb. I should've known better than what I did. I thought we were ready. Found someone better.
Alright, works in progress segment 2. See, I made you guys a promise, and I delivered. Okay? I said I would get Chrissy. Okay, maybe I didn't say I would get Chrissy, but I said that there would be another part of the show. And lo and behold, Chrissy's here. How you doing?
Hey guys.
You look cold.
I'm tired. I'm ready to go back to sleep. Got my blanket with me.
Yeah, you look cold.
I am cold, actually.
Well, I'm not. I'm getting ready to head out to Tywa's video shoot in a little bit, but I think he's doing a video. I don't know. He's doing something. Maybe I shouldn't have said that on the podcast. I don't know if he
he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just gonna go see him.
Yeah, I don't know if I should have just divulged that information on the podcast, but sorry, Ty. So earlier today we talked about Eminem's new song "Walk on Water." You know, me and Lewis, and we talked about some music stuff. Another artist I want to talk about is Meek Mill. Now, Meek's been in the news a lot lately. For those of you that don't know, Meek Mill just got sentenced to 2 to 4 years in prison for violating his probation. Now, I have mixed feelings about this. I think this is a bigger thing than just Meek Mill. I think it has a lot to do with the justice system in general. And I feel like the justice system is set up for minorities in general to end right back there, right back into prison. Now, and I'm going to let Chrissy talk about this because most of you guys know she does have a criminal justice degree, so she would be the right person to talk about this. I feel like I feel like Meek is to blame. Okay, he is to blame as well as the justice system. But let's be honest. The guy was on probation for I don't know how many years. He's been on probation since he was like 21 or 22. He's 30 now. Okay, any of us, and I think they said this on Everyday Struggle also. Shout out to Joe Budden and Academics. They said this also when they was talking about it. Anybody would have messed up in 8 years. Okay, like anybody would. Let's be honest. He got arrested, right, for popping a wheelie in New York on a video shoot, right, where they had law enforcement at the video shoot. They didn't arrest him at the video shoot. They arrested him the very next day. At some type of charity event that he was doing or something like that with kids around. It's my belief that it's like 20 cop cars came there just to arrest Meek Mill. He's not going to jail for popping a wheelie. He's going to jail for violating his probation because his probation was that he can't get arrested, and he did get arrested for the wheelie. So it's a lot of bull going on there. It's a lot of BS going on there. He is wrong. Okay, I'm not gonna say that Meek's not wrong. Meek's wrong, but to send him back to prison, I think it's just designed for him to fail. What do you think about it?
I guess like to start off, I feel like a lot of people feel that celebrities do get away with a lot of things. Than the normal person in society. Like, if we can look back about how many celebrities have gotten off scot-free for doing things, I think that's why they are now trying to make more of an example now. Like, just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean the rules don't apply to you.
Right. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Meek, in this case, wasn't, like, trying to do it as to be like, well, I'm a celebrity, I'm gonna, like, you know, get away scot-free.
Yeah.
However, I do think that the system is set up as a way for failure for people. It is like a study known that people that are usually already have a certain rap sheet, it is more common for them to go back.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I think the popping of the Willie thing is a little weird to me.
Well, it is illegal in New York. He did it in New York, and popping a wheelie is illegal in New York. It is. So technically speaking, he was caught doing something illegal.
He was caught doing something illegal, but at the same time, if he wasn't charged, I don't think it should count. Against you violating probation.
Yeah.
Like that's where like it's a little iffy for me. I was saying that I actually just viewed a video on Facebook about a woman who was sentenced to life. For making one bad choice, which was, I guess, a drug conspiracy. She was going through financial troubles, and she, I guess, was either selling drugs or she didn't really go into full details, but she was sentenced to life. And she was making a point about how there's people in prison for murder that gets out, that's gonna get out, and she's stuck there. Like, she's gonna die in prison, basically.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
She's not eligible for parole. She's not eligible for anything. So she talks about like how unfair our injustice system is, because they only see these issues honestly in America. You go to other countries and the way that their prison system is set up, Mike, is crazy to me. They have a better lifestyle in prison in other countries.
Yeah. There are some countries that you don't want to go to jail in, like from what I hear. Like,
there's some countries, but I was watching videos because I have to do a lot of research for class. But there's countries where it's like the prisons is like the inmates get TV, they get education, they get all the recreational, like they get a job, like they like set them up for them to like not go back to prison.
And that's what you would want, right? Like, the ideal purpose of prison is to learn your lesson, right?
And like, to be honest with you, America, we are really not set up to incarcerate that many people. We don't have the money for it. And so it's very concerning to most people how we make it like we target so much people, but we don't have the money to hold those people.
Do you feel like... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, so then you feel like... So then what ends up happening is that they end up having to let people who've done worse crimes go. And it's not a fair system. Like, there's no list on, like, oh, she did drugs and she killed somebody, so we're gonna let the drug person go. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, it's literally like a lottery system almost set up in prison.
That's interesting. The lottery system type thing. Like, I feel like...
It's like that. Like, if for example, if you commit murder and I just basically stole something, and your name comes up random, and they review how you've been in prison, and if you've done a good job in prison, you will get let out before I get let out.
That's crazy.
Because they only let so much people out at one time that they have to because of the overcrowding. So there is no fair system. I mean, in the case of Meek Mill, with him getting 2 to 4 years for probation,
I think it's BS. I think that the whole thing is BS.
That is a little extreme.
Yeah.
They usually wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. It's like, we don't really, like, was he charged with something? Like,
so let me help you out there. So, like, with my understanding, he's not charged with the Willie. They dropped the charges on that. But just the fact that he got arrested, the judge is like, all right, that's cause enough to send him back to jail. Now, there's a lot of politicking going on there. Apparently, there's some issues with the judge, and I don't know if you've been listening to the news lately, but his team is really trying to get that judge removed from this case, because they feel like there's a lot of bias. Personal bias, that the judge really does not like him as a human being, and this goes back.
Ooh, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, they saying that
when you have a team questioning a judge's decision, they will dig hard into that background. And then what that does is, so if I'm the judge and I rule over a case and now they're accusing me of being biased, what's going to happen now is his lawyers, by them now digging into that, they're going to dig into every case that judges ever proceeded over. And then what's going to happen is if another judge finds that judge being biased, all those cases that the judge has proceeded off is now going to have to go back and get retried.
Wow. Yeah.
Which no one has the money for.
Yeah, I know.
As a judge, you never want to be targeted that way, because then all the cases you ever done is now going to be looked at as, now everyone that has their case ruled by that judge is going to be like, well, he was being biased to me too. And then what's going to happen? They have to retry that case.
Well, I think that's the thing.
Now that's pushing back other cases, because now they have to fit that in.
I feel like they're targeting the judge because they feel that the judge targeted Meek Mill specifically. And again, they have, apparently there's some personal backstory there between the judge, Meek's corrections officer, and like the DA and all of that. Like, it's a big thing that they're investigating right now. So it's a lot going on in the Meek Mill trial.
I mean, he has the money for it.
He does have the money for it, and that's another thing putting him back in jail, right? Meek is a premier artist on his label. Like, even if I'm not like a huge Meek Mill fan. I like some of his music, but he's a premier artist, right? He's up there, with the Cardi B's, and I forget who else is on his label. I think Lil Uzi and all of those guys that's on his label. Him not being able to make music and to provide for all of the people that's on his team, because there are people that look up to Meek and look to Meek to, pay their salary. He has his own label. So him going back to jail is not a good look for anybody. Now, should he be reprimanded for, violating his parole? Yeah. Sending him back to jail for 2 to 4 years? No. And even his corrections officer said, he was like, yeah, he can be punished for this, but he shouldn't be sent back to jail. Don't send him back to jail. Give him community service, or, have him do something else, but don't send him back to jail. Anything but sending him back to jail. So if everybody is saying don't send him back to jail, yet the judge, the judge has final say, so the judge just like, nah, I'm sending him back to jail. This is, I'm done with him.
You can send a person back to jail, but what is that doing?
What is that accomplishing? Right, exactly.
You're not accomplishing anything. You only gave him 2 to 4 years. He probably only served the minimum because it's of who he is. So he'll be out by 2019.
Yeah.
Back making music, back doing everything that he needs to do.
I think the thing is also, though, he gets out, he's going to still... I don't think... They've tried to get this judge removed from what I can hear, or what I hear, I should say, plenty of times before, and it hasn't worked. So... bottom line is he's probably still going to have to deal with this judge. And then when he comes out, another 5 years of probation? Like, I mean,
if they can prove the bias, then they can, they can get Meek's case heard against another judge.
I think
we do have laws against that. We have laws against that because a lot of judges abuse their power. That's also a bigger problem in our justice system, is a lot of things are being questioned on how judges are being picked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for them, it's all, it's also a political thing as well. When you pick them.
Yeah.
So it's like, are we picking judges that are really fit to, handle our system?
Well, that's the thing. We have to get out and look, a judge is an elected official, right? So we have to go out and elect our judges and our state officials. And, the thing is, most people just think, all right, I'm going to vote in this presidential election and that's it. No, you have to vote on everything. Like, anything that's affecting your community, you should be voting on. From the mayor, okay, to governor, to everything. Like, you should be out there voting, because at the end of the day, that's what affects you directly, right? we can say free Meek Mill and the justice system is corrupt and everything. Yeah, we know that. But what are we doing about it? You know, and that's the thing. I know so many people that didn't vote in the last election that we just had. Last week? Last week was election day. Did you vote? I didn't vote. I didn't either. We're part of the problem, both of us. Like, but it's bigger than us, right? Like, a lot of people don't
Honestly,
vote.
I felt like, I don't know why. I didn't know why I didn't vote. And, my mom was like, you should go vote. It's right across the street. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I didn't go. But then there was something in my mind when I saw the candidates. I don't know why. I was just like, de Blasio's going to win again anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is true.
But it's weird because, like, certain people you just know, like, we all knew Obama. We all knew Obama was going to win again.
We knew he was going to win his second term. We didn't know he was going to win his first term. Like, there was, yeah.
The first term I understand, but the second term we all knew. I'm pretty sure everyone wants Michelle to run just to bring the Obamas back in the White House. Like,
yeah, I mean, but again, it's more than just voting for these presidential elections, and I just feel like people in our age group don't vote for the local officials. They only vote, if they even vote at all, they vote for president. You think Donald Trump gives a damn about what's going on in your community? Nope. No, he barely gives a damn about what's going on in the world. But that's a whole nother story that we're not going to get into. But yeah, I like anybody that's watching our show, that's listening to our show. Most of the people that watch this and listen to this is in our age group, in our demographic. You need to go. Which camera? You need to go out and vote. Okay, you need to go out and vote, and you need to vote for everything that you possibly can.
I personally like de Blasio, so I wasn't worried. I was like, he's gonna win again.
Yeah. Well,
you don't really hear negative things about him.
I've heard some. Like the police departments definitely don't like him, but that's a whole nother thing.
Well, you know what? Our police department is a whole different story. Like
that I don't even want to get into on this show.
I don't even want to talk about NYPD. Like I really don't.
I don't want to get shot, so I'm not gonna talk about them on this show. If you want to hear some unedited, uncensored thoughts on a lot of the politics and stuff like that, listen to the YBO show. I'm gonna give them a plug here. Shout out to King V. He's gonna be on. We're doing a predictions video that should be out by the time this comes out also for the pay-per-view that's coming out this weekend. So shout out to King V. Listen to the YBO show. They talk about all of, the politics and all of that. We like to have fun. We come here, we talk about relationships, all of that type stuff. They talk about more serious stuff on their show. So shout out to them. But yeah. But you're right. NYPD is a whole different. It's a whole different.
That would take a whole podcast.
Yes, it would. But we are getting to the end of the podcast. But before we end this, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like the world as a whole is just too sensitive now? Now, before you answer that, I know that we know a lot more about mental health. More about disabilities and everything like that. I get it, and we're more conscious about it. But do you think that as a whole, we're just too damn sensitive about every little thing now?
I mean, I feel like in some cases, yes. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. And it got me so pissed off. Mm-hmm. So you guys know about the stabbing with the kid, about the bullying from the Bronx?
Tell me about it. I'm not familiar with it.
So basically this kid was getting bullied in school or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And he would tell teachers about it because of his sexual orientation. He was gay. Mm-hmm. So he's getting bullied about it in school. And I guess he was talking to teachers about it. The mom was like attending meetings at school, whatever. No one's ever mentioned to her that her kid was getting bullied. He would come home with bruises. He would say, oh, it was from a sport, or it was like, I fell into something. Now, one day the kid, I guess, just lost it. Mm-hmm. And two of the kids that were, like, I guess, bullying him, he stabbed them. So one died and one didn't. So now it's a whole big thing now. Because the mom of the deceased is like, my son wasn't a bully. He would have never done these things. I don't know why the boy stabbed him. And then the mom of the defendant now who's on trial is like, no, my son was being bullied. He talked to teachers about it. He talked to some officials about it, and no one even informed me. No one said anything to me. My child was going to school miserable every day. And like now it's like a whole big like platform about like how I guess bullying is being handled in school. Like we supposedly have funding that's supposed to be like more towards like helping bullying and, you know, making it more awareness about it. But it's like, why is it that when it comes to a case like this with bullying, you know, everyone's like oblivious. But then it's like gun violence and stuff, it's like, oh well, they knew they were doing. Like, it's just like the world picks and chooses what is important and what isn't. Like, these are teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are teenagers. So now this guy is basically, he's being, I think, trialed as an adult because of his age. He was older than them.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's like, and it also connects to the justice system. Like, you know, in our justice system, you know, if you are considered with a mental illness, jail is not, they give you a different alternative to jail because it's mental illness. But it's like, the world is so sensitive, so now everyone can be like, you know, when I was like 7, I was depressed. Like, or even, for example, the shootings that's been happening all over.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to see if there's a connection with mental illness with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. With mental health and everything like that, that's a little bit different. And we could probably dive into that a little bit more on another show. But as far as like the world being too soon, so I'll give you a perfect example, right? Chris Jericho is you got gnats flying around. Good.
I don't know what's going
on. Chris Jericho, WWE superstar, rock star. He's a wrestler for like 20 something years now. He's having a cruise next October, right? And the way that he promoted the cruise was saying that most of the people that have bought tickets so far have been women 18 to, he said, most of the women that bought it was, I think 55% of women bought the tickets or whatever, and they're 18 to 34 or something like that, right? And he was like, you know what that means? A lot of bikinis, right? Chris Jericho, I get what he's saying, and a lot of people were upset about it because they're like, oh, you're using women to promote your cruise and it's degrading towards women and everything like that. Like, listen, I'm all for women's rights. I love women. I know that guys are trash because I'm one of them. But I think that's being a little too sensitive. I feel like that, okay, you're, like you said, you're picking and choosing what you want to be mad about. Like, it's just like, okay, as a female, do you feel some type of way about a guy saying that, oh, it's going to be a lot of bikinis on this cruise? Like, would you feel some type of way? Would that make you not want to go on this cruise?
Yeah.
No?
I wouldn't want to go on a cruise.
You wouldn't want to go on a cruise?
Yeah. Because it's like, why make a comment about how much bikinis is going to be on a freaking cruise?
Okay, because he's a professional wrestler, right? So a lot of the people that watch wrestling, the demographic for wrestling is, I want to say,
it's
60%.
Just like how they used to be like back in the day. They would be like in music videos. You can never have a music video without a freaking naked girl in a music video.
Right, because sex sells.
Why is that?
Because sex sells. That's why. I literally just told you. But Nicki Minaj just did a new cover with her half naked. Nobody made her do that, right? So, okay, she's over there, she's promoting her body, right? Because sex sells.
How do you know that no one made her do that?
First of all, she's Nicki Minaj. Nobody's making her do anything. Like, let's be honest. Nobody's making her do it. I can understand if...
But there's probably part of her that knows if because she's somewhat of a product that, you know.
She is. She's a brand. She's a product. She's all of that. But again, she's at the point of her career where she does not have to take off her clothes if she wants to sell a magazine. You get what I'm saying? So nobody's forcing her to do it. I can understand if she was just some chick that didn't know anything that's just coming in the game. Nicki's been in the game for 10 years. She knows, okay, I don't want to do this cover. And she has enough money and enough credibility to say, I'm not doing this. You know, so if she didn't want to do it, she didn't have to do it. Nobody's forcing her to do it. And guarantee she got paid to do it. Like, let's call a spade a spade. So as far as the whole cruise thing, okay, I can understand you not wanting to go because of that, but honestly, I feel like that's just an example. That's an example of people just being too sensitive. Like, so it's a big deal that he said something about bikinis in a tweet. Like, I don't like, and I honestly, I get what you're saying, but I feel like that right there is an example of what I'm talking about. I wasn't really talking about mental health and everything. I mean, I feel like we're way more sensitive. If he would have made that same comment 10 years ago, I don't think anybody would have cared. But now, because the world is so PC and you got to be so politically correct that you can't say anything. Like, example, I went to a sexual harassment class 2 weeks ago for my job. And it really made me come out of there saying that, damn, you can't say anything to anybody. Because everybody's offended by every single thing. Like, your intentions could be right, but it's something called intention versus impact. What kind of impact did what you say or what you said have on that person? And it's really up to that person to determine, okay, whether they're offended or not. And
I also think it's more connected to a lot of the things that's been happening in the media with, like, the sexual harassment thing. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it now it's a statement, kind of, like, especially with, I think in like, as a woman, mm-hmm. we're like, now it's like, women never used to have a voice, you know what I mean? And now it's giving women a platform to be making a statement like, no, it's not okay. Like, I think that is why it feels like the world is being, like, more sensitive now.
I don't think it's just women, but yeah, I hate what you're saying.
Like that's adding to it. Like, back in the day, it was like the guy said whatever, and that was it. I mean, there's still cultures like that where, like, you know, women can't speak out of, I guess, they can't speak, they can't say anything. It's always the husband's decision. But the reason why the world feels so sensitive is because now it's like, now you're hearing about it more. You're being alerted about it more. Yeah,
but I also, like I said, I feel like you can't say anything to anybody now. And it's just, I feel like it's so, I don't feel like, I think there's a part of me is
what were you saying about your remember you were telling me, I remember, about your, like, sexual harassment class, where you were like, you learned, like, even, like, communicating with the person. And
yeah, so, like, you mean like if you're dating somebody?
If you're just talking to somebody at work.
If you're talking to somebody at work, and, like, even if you don't have, so, all right, for example, say we work together, right, and I asked you out to go and get, like, you know, something to eat or whatever, asked you to dinner or something like that. That can be interpreted as sexual harassment, even though I can come to you as being very respectful and, you know, not demanding or anything like, because me asking you out to dinner can make you feel uncomfortable. That can be considered sexual harassment. I don't think there's being sensitive and then there's going overboard. I think that's a little extreme. I think that's excessive. I really do. I honestly feel like, okay, so I can't ask a woman that I work with out to dinner without it, being interpreted as sexual harassment. Like, so she can go to my manager now and say, "Oh, your guy's sexually harassing me. I feel offended that he asked me out to dinner." I like, it's like, come on. Or in the same respect, not just women, guys too. Like if a woman was to ask a guy out or whatever, he can go and say he felt uncomfortable by her asking her out to. You get what I'm saying? Her asking him out to dinner. It's just, I just feel like, I get what you're saying that, about women having a voice. I'm all for that. Like, I think women are smarter than men at the end of the day. So I'm all for women having a voice and for having their rights and to not be objectified. And, I'm all for that. I am. What I'm not for is, and it's going to sound crazy, but I'm not for I'm not for the pussification of America. And what I mean by that is, like, I feel like the world is just way too soft now. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, like, what we had to deal with. All right, like you were saying about the bullying thing, right? Bullying is not okay, but back when we was young, right? That's how me and my friends used to interact with each other. And people would go back to, like, all right, yeah, well, racism happened back in the day too, and this, that, and the third. Yeah, okay, but you can't compare the two. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Like, okay, so because my friends used to joke around with me, like when we were younger, they were bullying me. Like, yeah, I can go back and say, yeah, I got bullied and this, that, and the third. Do I feel like I got bullied? No, I don't feel like I ever been bullied a day in my life. But we all used to joke around with each other.
Yeah, but also in our generation, people weren't killing themselves as much either.
Right. That is true. But then that goes into what I'm saying. I think that has more to do with mental health as well.
It takes something major now for the world to take it serious, which is why it's being looked at as so sensitive. Because back then, people, when you were getting bullied, you weren't being like, I'm gonna shoot myself. It's like you faced it, you got through with it, and you learned from it, and then you grew from it. Now kids are being bullied, and the first thing they want to do is kill themselves.
You know what it was? Before, when you was bullied, you want to kill them. Now, when you're getting bullied, you feel like you want to kill yourself. And I feel like, I don't know. This is a deeper conversation that I do want to have when, all three of us is all together.
All three of us together, of course.
But, I mean, yeah, I just, like I said, in general, I get what you're saying about it. Like, now it's out there more, and the effects of certain things are different than how it affected us when we were younger. Like I said, if somebody was bullying me, I kicked their ass, or you did what you had to do. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just like, and that's another thing. When you talk about the killings and all that other stuff, we wasn't killing each other. Like, if you had a problem with somebody, you fought them one-on-one. You use these two hands. You fought them one-on-one. If I fought somebody when we was younger, I didn't have to worry about them trying to come back and kill me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't interact with them. They didn't interact with you. Or y'all fought, and then y'all was cool after. Like, y'all already had y'all issues. You know how many friends I fought when I was younger? Like, when we was in middle school or, like, in elementary school? Some of them that I'm not going to name on this show that I'm very cool with to this day. And we fist fought when we was when we was kids, So, I mean, I just feel like the world is in a different place, and I don't know if I like it. I'm just my personal opinion. I don't know if I like it. I just feel like we're all just way too soft. I feel like there's things that we should be more sensitive about that we are, and that's a good thing. But I feel like there's things that we shouldn't be as sensitive about. Like, some of the comments that I see, like, I look at Twitter all the time. Like, and it's constantly people being, like, attacked for a comment they made, and the way that they made it or whatever, like the context that they said it in. And it's just like, okay, some people take one thing of what you say, right, and they take it out of context, and they bury you for it. And it's just like, when did this start happening? That I can't even, and it goes back to my sexual harassment class, when did this start happening? I can't make a comment, like, without have to wear, like, everything I say now, right, even on this show, what I tweet, everything, I'm conscious of, damn, is this going to offend somebody? Like,
Yeah. And yeah, you seen the Dove commercial? How they wanted to boycott.
Yeah.
I was like, but I'm still using Dove. Forget that.
I got it in my crib. Dove
I got a whole stack in my fridge. I'm like, really, guys? Yeah. Because the person stripped and I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Sensitive. Like, they was ready to kill Dove. They was ready to get them the fuck out of here. Like,
they was really trying to boycott Dove. And I'm like, nah, Dove is the shit, guys. Yo, guys, get Dove. Because I'm telling you, like, someone with sensitive skin like me, that's the only soap I can use. So if they went out of business, I'll be tight.
Yeah. Well, just to wrap this up. So, do you... I go back to the initial question. Do you think the world is too sensitive?
Based on our conversation, yes. The world is completely sensitive, and we need to fucking grow the fuck up.
Okay.
Stop being bitches.
Okay. All right. I will agree with you, actually. I think the world, in less vulgar terms, I think the world is way too sensitive.
Wow, first time we ever agreed on something, guys. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I do agree with you. I definitely agree with you. I think the world is just... I think it's too sensitive. I think there's certain things, like I said, that we need to be sensitive about, but I think as a whole, it's just too sensitive. Definitely. And on that, you guys can get at us on Works in Progress on Twitter.
Follow us.
You can follow Chrissy over there at Chrissy Rachel 92 on Twitter.
That is my Twitter name. I did not even remember it. Oops.
You can follow me at DJ Person, Persin. That is right down there.
You can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat. I don't really care.
Follow me on Instagram.
I talk to everybody. No, hold on. I should.
That's a whole nother problem. That we're not gonna talk about on this show.
We're not even talk about this segment, but we can talk about a segment like that, but like not right now. As you can see, my hair look crazy. I need to go. I need to go do my hair, guys.
Okay.
Can you delete this part?
No, we're keeping this all in.
Yo, this is crazy. Like.
Yeah, we're keeping it all in.
He's being a bully. You see?
Yeah, I'm being a bully, right? Thanks for joining us. All right. Hold on for a second. I gotta move up. No, I can move up. Okay. Sorry. I'll take all of this out.
No, it's fine.
All right, no problem. Stuff I deal with in the hood. Sorry about that. Nah, he wanted me to move up a little bit so he could park. I'm a good neighbor, so anyway, as you were saying about
the